This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by Freaking.com.
Putting out the open carry fire with gasoline. That's what former Secret Service agent Joseph Petro seems to be proposing. I may be mispronouncing his name, however. First, a little background for the uninitiated. Gun rights activists in 2 different states have begun appearing outside Obama events, and they've been carrying increasingly large weapons. Petro, a 23-year veteran of the Secret Service, says, quote, "If the local police are drawn away to deal with these fools, then there's a vacuum somewhere," unquote. He was quoted, by the way, in Time magazine, August 19th. Petro goes on to advocate expanding the perimeter around the president to 500 yards. In other words, keeping protesters at least 500 yards from the president. Of course, it's already, controversial enough to have free speech zones near the president, or usually they're not all that near the president. If you were to add to this controversy by extending the perimeter, there would be more and more public streets that would be banned from protest. There would be more and more street corners where you couldn't hold a sign. You'd have more and more government expense, but on the other hand, you'd have more and more discontent with the federal government. In a sense, this is sort of like a milder version of what happened in the Revolutionary War in the South. You had a minority of people who were rebelling against British authority down there. They didn't have that much public support at first. But when the British engaged in a backlash, that changed the course of events. And 10, 20, 50 backlashes later, the Southern rebels won. On the other hand, the gun carriers are almost all advocating for smaller government, inspiring authorities to make presidential events more fascistic is probably not pushing us toward smaller government. At least it's not pushing us toward smaller government directly. But if their goal was to trigger more soul-searching about the healthcare proposals, then they have achieved their goal on the Ridley Report today. Because talking about them has given me an excuse to bring up some more points about the healthcare proposal. Advocates for a healthcare nationalization often bring up the fact that many other Western countries already have it. Ireland, for instance, has a relatively nationalized healthcare system, and it hasn't been entirely the end of the world there. But people fail to remember Ireland does not have an overseas empire. Even England and Canada have much, much smaller empires than the United States. I doubt Ireland has a single overseas military base. The United States has over 150. Ireland can afford lots of mistakes. England can afford some. Canada can afford some. The U.S., with its massive military expenditures, cannot. Government growth into healthcare here would place a 100-pound backpack on a man who's already carrying a 100-pound backpack. It could trigger something more than just healthcare problems. It could trigger a general collapse. In fact, the U.S. is so close to the edge right now, it may not even require that kind of thing to trigger a general collapse. Just one thought I felt I should add to the debate that wasn't already out there. Again, apologies to Agent Petro if I am mispronouncing his name. I don't know any way to figure out the correct pronunciation. Going back to the issue of gun protests, I would like to make clear that the acting Secret Service people are not engaging, as best I can tell, in any sort of heated rhetoric. They appear to be handling this stuff pretty professionally, and have at least officially indicated they're not particularly concerned by the gun carriers. If Agent Petro wants to calm things down, I'd recommend that he do what his former colleagues are doing and just try to avoid calling people names. If you're a fan of the Ridley Report, or of Liberty, I hope you'll do the same.
What are you arresting this man for?
You've seen the dramatic Liberty arrests in Keene, New Hampshire. Now see 111 reasons why you should move there and reinforce these gutsy activists. Keene's advantages are compelling, and the list of reasons to move has just been updated. For details, visit freekeene.com.